We are now officially live. So tonight, I'm going to let Rownan kick it off.
Fair. Hello. Welcome, everybody from the internet. I am Rownan.
I am Kirk.
I'm Salem.
And this is Reels in the Round on the rectangular table.
Right.
Also, quick question. Is there a synonym for a table that, starts with an R? Because that would be amazing if there is.
To the interweb. Synonym for table.
Table.
No.
Is there any synonyms for table?
Bench, board, work surface, counter, desk, bar, buffet, stand, workbench, work table, top, surface, or work top. 81 synonyms and antonyms for table. Okay, hold on. That starts with an R. Here we go. Appendix. Synonyms for table. Yeah, still no. I mean, if we mean table like a table of contents, we could use record, a record, but that's not what we mean.
Yeah, not quite.
No, there is no word for table.
Shoot.
That
I'll have to see if there's one in like a different language or so.
Yeah, that would be a fun joke though. But
that would be amazing with the alliteration. Anyways, today we watched
Five Nights at Freddy's. Shoot, Willy's Wonderland. This is so confusing since it's such a blatant ripoff. But continue.
Okay, I think it's fair enough to start with the people in charge. Director Kevin Lewis also directed The Drop, The Third Nail, and The Method.
Very, very important question. Have you heard of and or seen of any of those films?
No.
Okay.
And I think a more important question is the writer is mainly an actor. The only other thing he has written is a singular episode of Shark Week.
Shark Week on Discovery Channel.
Yes.
It gets written?
It not Shark Tank.
No.
Shark Week. You and I watch Shark Tank. Shark Week is the thing about sharks on the Discovery Channel.
Yes.
And it's still a documentary, but still, okay.
That's the only other.
He was an actor in Pure Love. He was an actor in The Room, which, for the record, that's starting to make a lot more sense. Okay.
Yeah. So
let's
no writing experience.
Let's back it up a little bit.
Okay.
Talk to me about the train wreck that we just watched.
The use of blood was a little excessive.
No, it was not. If anything, that's where they skimped on the budget. They should have used the Nicolas Cage budget in a Sam Raimi style use of blood.
Yeah, I think they spent like half their budget on Nicolas Cage.
Oh, way more than half. There is zero chance that this film spent more than half. It was one location.
Yeah.
All no-name actors, no particularly impressive special effects, none. Mostly practical effects and camera angles. If this was not 85% Nicolas Cage budget, that implies that Nicolas Cage is slumming it for money.
You may have a point there.
There's no way they spent half of the budget on Nicolas Cage. They spent 80% of the budget on Nicolas Cage, which, for the record, in that he did not talk, was a great performance.
Right? Okay, so basically,
it was all like the old Lego Harry Potter games, where they go or like the Minecraft villagers.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Nicolas Cage. We're getting Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get. So real quick, for those who are unaware, there's a game called Five Nights at Freddy's that was.
I'm pretty sure everyone's aware.
Bet you $1 million that they're not. Not everyone is in the 8th grade.
Five Nights at Freddy's was a big thing when I was in 2nd grade.
Okay. Bet you the people over your age still don't know what it is.
I know what it is, Kirk.
You don't count.
I'm over her age.
Sorry. Anyone over the age of 30, there's a 70% chance they don't know what Five Nights at Freddy's. I only know what it is because I worked at conventions for so long, and you can't not work in conventions. And I did my show, Nerdy News.
People watch Game Theory.
That's fine. I'm still willing to bet that you're only looking at your audience very diminutively. There's a bigger audience than that. So we should probably make sure they know that Five Nights at Freddy's was a video game where you were trapped in a pizza parlor overnight.
As a security guard.
You were hired.
You were
hired. No, you were hired.
Were you not trapped?
Not really.
You're locked in.
Were you?
Yes, you're locked in the security room.
No,
Like-
you weren't locked in. You're just.
I mean, I guess
If you leave, will you die?
You were not allowed to.
I mean, I guess
couldn't move. You physically couldn't move.
If you leave the room, you die. You're trapped. You're splitting hairs over words, and you're going to lose this fight. But we can spend more time on it if you want.
we
So
can
you're
continue.
trapped in this room as you're trying to as you're being attacked by the mascots of a Chuck E. Cheese. This is the
Very fast, fair.
this is the same plot, except now you're Nicolas Cage
And
Well-
you're a janitor.
and you're
Instead of a
janitor.
security guard.
and instead of a security guard, right?
Mhm.
So let's walk through this. Nicolas Cage, sponsored by Chrysler, not Chrysler,
Chevy.
Chevy. They both have CH, whatever. Gets 4 flat tires outside of a small town.
Yeah.
Gets asked that they'll fix his car if he spends the night cleaning up Willy's Wonderland.
Because he doesn't have any cash on him and the ATM
They
machine
don't
is
have the
broken.
Wi-Fi. They don't have the internet in town.
Yep.
Right. And antics ensue as he takes down. Is it 8 or 6? It's 8.
The animatronics?
Yeah, there's 8, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there's 8.
Yeah.
So, and one by one, he destroys destroys each of the Chuck E. Cheese mascots.
Except for one.
That's right. It gets away.
Yep.
Gets away. Setting up for the sequel. Anyway, so I just want to. We're just establishing a baseline of plot here.
Yep.
I'm playing it fast and loose with the word plot.
and then every hour or give or take,
He has to drink an energy drink.
and play on a pinball machine.
Willy's Wonderland.
Yep.
A Willy's Wonderland.
Even when he's in the middle of fighting someone.
He had not started the fight yet. He was not in the middle. He didn't say like time out. He was just like and pop smoke.
That was my favorite part.
That is in fact part of the movie. Hands down.
Yep.
Hands down. Anyway, okay, so director here, Nicolas Cage. Of those 3 movies, how many of them have you seen?
2.
Which one haven't you seen?
The Rock.
Okay, first off, everyone go see The Rock. I'm not even kidding. It's amazing.
Okay.
I might make us watch that next week. The Rock is the best James Bond movie ever.
Is it even a James Bond movie?
Depends on what you mean by a James Bond movie. Because yes.
Okay.
So the plot of The Rock, I know I don't want to go too far off, and those that are my age know what The Rock is. This is where Salem will be like, everyone knows what The Rock is. Yeah, everyone my age.
I don't.
I know who The Rock
That's
is.
my point. My point is that not everyone knows what Five Nights at Freddy's is, and not everyone knows what The Rock is. But The Rock is the only person to ever escape from Alcatraz.
I see.
Is this British spy that was arrested in the 1960s, played by Sean Connery, who played 007 in the 60s. And
I see.
And they really set it up like it was him. And Nicolas Cage has to go help him escape from The Rock, or break into The Rock to attack terrorists. It's the best James Bond movie ever, except it's an old Sean Connery instead of a young Sean. Anyway, it's awesome.
I
It's
see.
interesting how Donnie Darko's on this list.
It is. What is your favorite Nicolas Cage movie? This is an important question.
It is?
Yes.
I would probably have to say Gone in 60 Seconds.
How many Nicolas Cage movies have you seen?
Handful.
Okay. For the record, I like Gone in 60 Seconds. Nicolas Cage is actually one of my favorite actors, and I'm not even kidding. He is the only actor I know that has such an interesting career across so many different genres and is equally terrible in all of them, but somehow still has an Academy Award because he actually can act.
Yeah.
He just chooses not to.
I was like, I want to suck at my job on purpose.
But like my dad and I hope he's watching, but he's not.
Jeez.
My dad and I have watched Con Air
Okay.
almost more than I've ever watched any other film ever. It's like it used to be like our family get together movie. It is the most quotable film of all time because in this, Nicolas Cage has long hair and has the worst Southern accent of all time.
Jeez.
It's great. Steve, just check out the Con Air as well. Incredible. But like he will do a romantic comedy and be terrible. He will do a dramedy, Leaving Las Vegas, will be amazing. He will do a car movie, Gone in 60 Seconds.
Yep.
He will do. I am in awe of his acting. And so is the rest of the world. But one of my favorite things is I hate, as we talk about it every week, I hate Rotten Tomatoes with all that I am.
Yep.
But there's a movie that came out a few years ago with, I want to say it was Ethan Hawke, but it might not have been. It was Ethan Hawke and Selena Gomez.
Okay.
And it was a car show. And there's a Rotten Tomato review that I think is the best thing I've ever seen written in my life. And it said, this movie is so terrible. The most impressive thing about it is that it didn't star Nicolas Cage. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the best burn I've ever seen in my life. It really, really encapsulates the problems with this movie.
See.
But so yes, Gone in 60 Seconds. Yes, National Treasure. Another great movie. I love National Treasure.
I don't know why I didn't put that on there.
I don't know why you did. Because again, it's so good.
Yeah.
Ozzy the Ostrich is watching right now and says that they love Willy the Wonder. Isn't Ozzy the Ostrich one of the characters?
Yes. I'm so confused.
I'm sorry for what happened to you, Ozzy. No justice at all.
He's the first one to die.
You were the first one to die. Man. Like
first one voted out.
With a mop, no less. Damn, it's just not even fair, really. But no, this movie, I'm not gonna lie, and I mean this by no irony. I really enjoyed it. It was just it was so popcorn fun. It was like chewing bubble gum. You didn't think it replaces your dinner, but you still enjoyed it. Like this movie was awesome.
I don't even remember what we were talking about, but like before we started the movie, I said, if this is a musical, I swear. And then you said you really want to see Nicolas Cage in a musical.
How has Nicolas Cage not been in a musical? That's the one thing that I think he's missing. If someone has seen him in a musical, please chime in.
Yeah.
So Gone in 60 Seconds, Ghost Rider, It Could Happen to You is his romantic comedy with Bridget Fonda. We have National Treasure, his romantic adventure-ish like type of movie, and of course National Treasure 2. We have him in he is in just everything from Vampire's Kiss to Gone in 60 Seconds, and he's so equally terrible in all of it, and I love him. Moving on to Emily Tosta, Mayans MC, which is the Sons of Anarchy spinoff. Party of Five, which I did watch, but I don't remember her. She would have had to have been crazy young, because Party of Five when I was a kid, and she was very clearly younger than me.
I think Did they
remake Party of Five, or am I thinking of the wrong Party of Five?
Apparently was, because it's not a movie, it was a show.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh.
Party of Five was a television show. It's how Liv and Nev Campbell got her start. It was a show when I was in young high school and middle school, and they were in their 5-6 years. Lacey Chabert, who's exactly my age, she was the 12-year-old on like.
Oh wow. Okay.
If Emily Tosta was on the same Party of Five, she would have had to have been quite young. But
yeah,
like two,
like a baby.
Yeah.
And Selfie Dad, I've never heard of, so I can't speak to.
She wasn't in much, so I thought we may get some amusement by just Selfie Dad and just seeing what her has come.
Yeah. And then Grant saw her in Donnie Darko and Speed.
Who was she in Donnie Darko?
She was the you don't take Crystal Palaces seriously. She was the other mom. God. Glitter girl, glamour. Yeah, she was the Karen. Exactly. Jerry Stanek,
who does a bunch of stunts. He was the voice of Willy.
Ed was probably in the suit if he's stunts for The Walking Dead, stunts for the
stunt. Yeah.
So the stunt man. I'm about it. Stunt. Okay.
He's the stunt guy.
Okay.
And that's the new MacGyver, not the old one or the one in The Simpsons.
I assumed. And for the record, the new MacGyver sucks. The old MacGyver is amazing. So there we go. Next slide. Let's do this.
So I guess you hinted at it, I think.
Hit me.
But I think this is where we should start.
Okay.
Nicolas Cage's character and how he just does not talk.
There are people that have won Oscars for silent roles. Acting without speaking is, I say with no irony, no joke, acting without speaking is actually really, really difficult. What he did here wasn't, but that's not the point. It was, I agree with Nicolas Cage. You had mentioned that he had said that he was really taken by a part that he didn't talk at all.
Yeah.
And I got to say, like, if someone came to me and offered that role, like,
this is very intriguing.
I won't say that he had a very dynamic, he wasn't a dynamic character, but he was a very entertaining character.
Yeah.
He was a very interesting character. You definitely, and I'm trying not to be funny here, you definitely got a various feels for him. Like the whole that he would stop when his alarm went off to go take a break, no matter what, that he was still cleaning, even when like that he was again, this sounds like I'm kidding, that he clearly had an integrity about him. He's like, he had agreed to clean all night, and he cleaned all night, and he didn't give up even when someone was trying to kill him. It was just very interesting.
It was like, you made a mess. Like, you made a blood mess.
I will say that I kind of wish that all of the kids didn't die. Like the one lives. Like, I sort of wish that at the end there was a ragtag group of like, like the fact that basically everyone died.
The movie where everyone died,
like,
it's still happy.
I mean, truly.
Oh yeah, everyone but 2 characters died.
Spoilers, but like,
sorry,
Nicolas Cage and Liv, truly, because
I mean it's in her name.
Every single, the other cop dies too, right?
Yep, by that one like Mexican animatronic.
Way to make it racist.
Oh.
Yeah. Yes, by wow. Everyone in this movie dies
Except for 2.
Interesting.
But
and
yeah.
the owner and the...
They die.
No, they die.
Right.
They die after morning. The car fire.
Yeah.
Everyone dies. Except for the guy who doesn't talk and his new teenage girlfriend, which is weird.
I doubt it's his girlfriend.
There was definitely some riding off into the sunset vibes there. She's like 20 and he's like 700.
I mean, to be fair, her caretaker just died, so.
That's true.
Because the police officer was the caretaker.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was going to say, in his defense, Nicolas Cage's defense, $1,000 for one night's of work is really not bad. Like
I've made way more.
Well,
in one night.
I mean, as a janitor.
That's true.
As a janitor.
One night sweeping for $1,000. That is not bad.
Yeah.
That is not bad.
In fact, I'm wondering who made the deal.
They never thought they were gonna have to pay him.
Yeah.
True.
They never like even right before they came in, they even said like, "Hey, looks like you got a new car." Like
I even tuned it for you too.
I even tuned it for you. Like they never thought it was never $1,000. It was whatever the price was to get him to spend the night there. Just like the other family was like, "Hey, there's a place where you can stay tonight." Like it's just I like this movie because of the one kind of adultish scene where I can't let my younger kids see it, but like Salem watched it and I felt no reservations about that. Like if it wasn't for that one scene, I'd let my youngest son watch it because I think he'd think it was funny.
Yeah.
He loves Finance at Freddy's and vending the ink machines.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I bet Leander, he's my son. I bet Leander would really enjoy it. With the exception of the one prolonged sex scene that was just
I think that scene was a bit too long, even though there was no nudity, but
it wasn't that it was bad. It was like 8 minutes long. Like it kept cutting back to it. Like we get it. Like it was a long scene.
But yeah, in what you're talking about, before we did watch the movie, since surprisingly or not, even though this is the newest movie that we have seen on this channel, yes, came out this February, but I've already seen this was my 3rd time watching this movie.
When to buy it, it was
$2 to rent, it was
$3 to rent and $8 to $4 to rent and $8 to buy. I'm like, guess I'm buying it. Like, I mean, as long as I watch it twice, I'm good.
Yeah, but before we watched it, I was like, this is probably the best B-rated movie you will ever see.
I worked at film festivals for years. I've seen some really atrocious movies. This is one of my favorite low budget films I've ever seen. There's these movies like the Llama Apocalypse that are just like or Sharknado 1 through 4.
Yeah.
That are hokey on purpose. And this one was hokey on purpose too. I don't want to be like, no, this one took itself seriously. But I don't know. There was something a little bit less ridiculous about killer Chuck E. Cheese. Like everyone hates clowns. Everyone looks at the Chuck E. Cheese things and they're like, that's a little creepy. Sharknado is just like eye-rollingly bad. This wasn't eye-rollingly bad. It was just hysterically bad.
Everybody liked it because it was bad.
Yeah.
And now, so talk to me about Five Nights at Freddy's, the real one. You're saying that they've already greenlit it. It's happening.
Kind of.
Okay.
Because at first they already went past stage 1, had like a script and everything going. They scratched the script, threw it in the trash, and now they're starting from square one.
You understand
So
that this is a film about a person that never leaves one room. What kind
Yeah.
of script did they possibly need? like,
There's like 7 Five Nights at Freddy's.
but like,
I mean, that is true. Like,
but he doesn't ever leave the room.
No, because there are some that like
There's
they're
Sister
in.
Location.
Because isn't like the fourth one they're in like a
I played
bedroom?
none of them, so
I think
Yeah,
so.
the fourth one you're in a bedroom, which is I haven't really gotten that much into that one, but
Okay.
yeah.
okay.
So-
So let's talk. We talked about the dialogue or lack thereof, and the dialogue that there
Yeah.
was is just classically written. I mean, Juilliard level.
I mean,
performances here.
you said one of them was taken from another movie,
Yeah,
right?
it's a direct ripoff from The Watchmen. So in The Watchmen, the Rorschach gets arrested. Have you seen The Watchmen or read The Watchmen? Dear God. Rorschach, he's the one that wears the mask that gets all funky. He's
Okay.
one of the scariest, like craziest characters. He gets sent to prison, and he was one of the Watchmen. So a lot of people in the prison he put there.
Mhm.
And so he gets there's this prison fight where people kind of descend on him, and he takes the fryer and he like throws like hot grease on a person, and he beats the crap out of a bunch of people, and he screams like, "You don't get it, do you? I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me." And like before they like drag him out.
Yeah.
And they straight up take that line. And the thing is that line isn't new. That line was from the early. It's not. That line is from the comics and the movie, both of which are
I see.
old. So yeah, it's a direct. But yeah, they steal that line like he's not locked in here with them. They're locked in here with him. And I'm like, I mean, I appreciate the Watchmen, but still.
What's funny thing about that? I would say that quote right there is probably the most notable quote in this movie.
Yeah, Steph, man, like you can steal way more in 5 minutes than
Yeah.
you can write in a lifetime.
But I mean, to be fair, what more do you expect from a writer that's
An actor,
only other written piece was Shark Week?
Sharknado, frankly.
Not here was Shark Week.
But I'm saying that's what I would expect from.
Oh,
something
okay,
like that.
okay, okay, yeah.
From a cinematography standpoint, I really liked the
Yes.
editing and the angles and the camera work in this were actually surprisingly good. It was very fun. It was very well shot. It was very well edited. It was a very engaging piece.
I will say, from like an editing standpoint, you may disagree with me,
Probably.
but I feel like a quarter of the film, maybe a third, was just B-roll, and I don't think it needed to be.
You're gonna have to explain.
Like when Nicolas Cage was at the pinball machine and he was doing an epic dance scene. I wanted more of the dance scene rather than B-roll shots, quick fire of the pinball
Cutaways.
machine. Yeah.
Okay.
I like the B-roll.
Yeah, no, I mean, for the record, guys, you're using B-roll wrong. Those are cutaways. But like,
And I feel like some shots were like too long when they could have just been shorter.
okay, I will say that. Yeah, there were
So-
moments that the cut. Yeah, I really liked that scene though, where he was the
epic dance number.
It was like
Yeah,
an
me
epic-
too.
It was an epic dance number in the middle of a genocide. You're just like, I'm about it.
That was probably my second favorite part.
What was your favorite part?
When the like ugly looking animatronic with the like
With the
very long
tongue?
trunk
Yeah.
and like his
Oh,
watch comes off
okay.
and just be like,
Where
I'm
like,
gonna have to dip.
I
Here's
got
the
it, yeah.
knife. Yeah.
that was
Here you go. It's up to you now.
Like the-
Yeah.
The fight was about to commence.
and his alarm goes off and he has
Yep.
to walk out. No, that was. There were a lot of good. I mean, as much as I give this movie permission to be terrible, and it was fun. Like I'm not annoyed that I bought it because there will be another time that Salem and I are like, let's watch Five Nights at Freddy's. I mean, Willy's Wonderland.
How ironic is the name Willy?
So explain what you mean by that. I know what you mean, but explain for our viewers who don't get it.
So, in the original game Five Nights at Freddy's, the serial killer, the person who kills everyone and the kids and stuffs them in animatronics, is named William Afton.
And so in this one, what was the serial killer's name?
We don't know, but
Don't we?
we do, but I can't.
Thought we
remember. I'm not
did.
very good
But
with
it was
names.
it Willy? Was his name
No,
Willy?
I have a feeling it was Chris for
I don't remember.
some reason, but I'm
I
not
don't
exactly
remember
sure.
his name, but the weasel was named Willy.
Yeah, it was Willy the Weasel and Willy's Wonderland. No, I agree. I think there's 0% chance that that's an accident.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no way that that's I hadn't even thought of that. Right now, the writers at home going, oh my gosh, I No, I think that's very clearly on purpose.
Another thing that I think should have been in the final cut,
Okay.
and I don't know if it's because it's so heavily inspired by Five Nights at Freddy's or not,
Yeah.
but I feel like they should have tied this in with like all the drinks and the watch going off,
Okay.
but like the timer going up, like the hour mark, right?
I don't know what you mean.
In Five Nights at Freddy's, like the name suggests, you have 5 nights, and you are from midnight to 6 a.m. And there's like there's a thing in the corner that goes like, it's this o'clock.
Okay, you're thinking they should have leaned into that a little bit more rather than just the.
No, I was talking about like
the buzzer
in like the final night where it ticks from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. I don't know. I maybe was kind of hoping that like each hour you would have seen like a little. Then you would have seen like the progress
I can imagine
going.
there being like I think that's what they were trying to do with his watch beep.
Yeah.
But having there be like a bell tolling like ping, 4 hours left, ping, 3 hours remain,
Mhm.
ping, 2 hours. I can get behind that.
I kind of wanted to see Willy the Weasel say, "I always come back."
As much as I love the fact that Nicolas Cage didn't talk, and I'm not being funny, I really do think I would have loved at the very end him to have had a single like pseudo monosyllabic line, like he puts out his hands, they give him the keys, he goes, "Thanks," or like "My pleasure," or like "Come again sometime,"
You're welcome.
or "You're welcome." Yeah, exactly. Like, there needed to be some epic 1987 one-line set, call if they come back. Like just something I think would have really punctuated his silence if you'd have added some just pithily horrible line at the end. Or even not at that moment. They're in the car and Liv gets in. But right before like she says something like where are we going? And he's like, that way. I think that if we'd have punctuated his silence with some ridiculous ending statement, I would have appreciated
more humor.
I would have appreciated that. That having been said, I really liked the payoffs in the character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then another thing I think I should add, a little not really gripe or so, but so this is a horror movie, as you may or may not guess.
Yes.
But I don't really see the scariness factor in this.
So yeah.
I think it's mainly because of the gore. Like I probably laughed more times than
that has been a trend of horror movies since about 2001, 2002. I'm not even kidding. Like there's of course been like actual horror movies ish, but like
The Ring.
Sure. But like we've been seeing a lot of this, especially if you go to the Amazon direct, the Llama Apocalypse, the Sharknado, Killer Sofa. Like that has been a trend of just bad horror movies in general. So of making them like they're still scary, but they're just ridiculously funny scary.
Yeah,
that's sort of a trend that we've been playing with for a decade or so. So I don't like horror movies. This was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, because I want to say that like the scariest part in this movie was just him putting duct tape on his wounds.
Yeah,
like and just before, taking them off.
So, like,
you have?
I don't think that would be a very good idea.
I've done it. It works great.
There was this one horror movie that you and I saw. I don't remember what it was called, but like it wasn't scary. The scariest thing was the jump scares.
Oh yeah, those are startles.
Yeah.
Like those are spooks. Okay, this is.
Salem has challenged me to scare her, and so we watch really, really inappropriate films.
The Ring. It wasn't scary
because she has no soul. No, she has challenged me to scare her, so we watch films that are just drastically inappropriate for her age. But she has no conscience nor soul, and doesn't scare. I have nightmares, and she has to hold me and rock me back to sleep at night. It's bad. It's bad. Next slide. Let's talk about awards or whatever you're about to say.
So this is what the next slide, and I already know what it is.
You made the slides. Yeah.
Budget. What do you think it is?
Oh.
And I'll ask you.
There's too many free radicals, but if it wasn't for Nicolas Cage, Nicolas Cage is a free radical that I will not account for nor be held responsible for the ridiculousness of this.
Okay.
there's a lot of free radicals here.
Okay.
This movie could have been made very safely for under $2 million. Very safely.
Okay.
Now,
yeah.
Like, given the fact that lots of the other actors were names, like people, they're not names, not Brad Pitt, but like,
yeah.
But I know what the SAG minimum is. That location was just an abandoned location that they got. Like, I think that this film at the lowest, Nicolas Cage is a free radical. At the lowest, $800,000.
Okay.
At the highest, if they spent more than 8, someone needs to be shot in the face with something hard and heavy.
8 mil.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's kind of 800,000 would be like, holy crap, Nicolas Cage did this for a favor.
Yeah.
Which that happens all the time. More than 8 million. So I worked on High School Musical 2, and that was an $8 million budget. And I were just like, this did not need to be 8 million, but I've seen people be really, 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 really wasteful.
Yeah.
That's my span.
I
my
see.
actual guess is between 2 and 3. Again, Nicolas Cage is the absolute free radical. He could have been like, no, I'm not doing this for less than 25 million. Like I don't have that information, but that's my guess.
Well, now that you brought that up, you think they could have replaced Nicolas Cage with someone else?
Absolutely.
And could have made like the same amount and as like make it be as good as it is.
Okay, first off, let's stop playing it fast and loose with the word good.
Okay. Decent.
You could have absolutely replaced Nicolas Cage with a beloved B actor, i.e., in yesteryear, Christopher Lambert, Benjamin Bratt. Like, there's a bunch of actors that would have been really fun in this role because they're like 80s actors and or people that are just kind of known, like Danny Trejo. Oh my gosh, would have been a very different. But had you replaced, they're about the same age, I bet. I'm curious now. If you'd have replaced Nicolas Cage with like Danny Trejo, you know who that is, yes? You've seen him in a bunch, I promise.
Probably.
He is a Spy Kids, Uncle Machete.
Oh, yeah, I've seen Spy Kids. Yep.
He's Uncle Machete. Then they made a movie called Machete. Danny Trejo, like, yes, this movie could have used a much. I'll also say that Nicolas Cage is a little bit broke and starving at the moment, so I don't know if he costs all that much money. I'm just saying that there's a free radical there that I can't account for.
Yeah.
To answer your question, though, yes, I think that he could have been replaced with an actor that had just as much, if not more, appeal at the exact same number. Because, like, Nicolas Cage, you tuned in to watch it somewhat ironically. Like, you're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be terrible.
Yeah.
But, like, again, I'm stuck on this Danny Trejo thing. If it had been like Danny Trejo or there's a whole bunch. I can't. Giovanni Ribisi would have been interesting. There's a bunch of character actors / B actors / yesteryear actors that you could have gotten for the exact same number that I would have watched with probably even more delight. Nicolas Cage I watched because he's known for being so terrible.
It's funny.
And I was fine with it, but I think that they could have, knowing he could have done this for free. I don't know. But there's a lot of actors I think that could have done just as well or better.
I see. Then,
so what's the number?
And then Salem, you want to guess?
How much money did this cost to make?
$10.
More than that. But however, in the world of Price is Right, she might win if I overshot.
You did not overshot. It's $5 million.
Okay.
You were close.
Like, I know that I gave it a really, but I said 2 was my guess, but 8 was high. Like,
yeah.
No, I kind of nailed that.
Yes.
I think that they could have done it for cheaper. And for the record, there's zero chance that that's not a Nicolas Cage number. That Nicolas Cage was every bit guessing. Nicolas Cage was every bit of 3 to 3.5 million of that.
I see.
Yeah. It just was, period. That's not even an opinion. Like, there's, well, it is, but there's just zero chance that much more of that isn't that. I think if you'd have used, again, like any number of actors, I think you could have gotten for half of Nicolas Cage money and done, but 431,000. Someone lost their job over this.
Well, I also want to say that
COVID screwed them.
Yeah. Even though we did see with Tenet that they still made bank in the box office, but
I just watched that.
Yeah. But I mean, that is the
Yeah.
difference between Christopher Nolan versus No Names with Nicolas Cage. So
I'm trying to think of other actors in that echelon that like Benjamin Bratt wouldn't have done any better, but he would have been fine. Man, why am I having such a hard time? If you'd have found a fallen 80s star, like anyone, like I don't know how he would do it. If you would have gotten like Jean-Claude Van Damme in, please tell me you know who that is. If we'd have gotten Jean-Claude Van Damme or Steven Seagal, oh my gosh, I would have watched. If Steven Seagal had been in this film, I would have watched with utter delight. I would have. Nicolas Cage, I tuned in because it was funny. Steven Seagal, I would have been like, popcorn bitches, we're watching this. Because, like, oh man, I am right now mourning that this wasn't Steven Seagal. Steven Seagal was a.
So he sounds familiar.
In the 80s and early 90s, he was a big action hero. So you had Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone doing the military like big movie, and then you had Jean-Claude Van Damme and Steven Seagal doing the martial arts movies.
I see.
And Jean-Claude Van Damme was known for his like high kicking, super like splits and very acrobatic martial arts. Where Steven Seagal was in fact in real life a grandmaster of Aikido or Judo, or like he in real life was a like legit. And now he has a reality show because he actually is a sheriff in, I want to say, like Louisiana.
Oh wow!
And he's huge. He went from this very lean martial artist to like he ate himself. He's huge. He's a big dude.
Oh wow!
And had Steven Seagal come in and done this exact role, this exact way, I mean. No, Jean-Paul, Steven Seagal would have taken that role to 100% serious level. Like, seriously, Jean-Paul, congratulations on your LASIK, by the way. Tell me that Steven Seagal in this movie wouldn't have been just like delightfully glorious. I'd have been like, this is so good. Because I grew up with him, like, because he was like a very melodramatic, like, we're going to take you to the bank, the blood bank. Like, he was this, but he'd have come in and done. Whereas Nicolas Cage, you read it kind of as ironic. Like you kind of read this. Like, Steven Seagal would have done that very straight faced, but not just straight, like it would have been epic. And the thing is that assuming he'd have taken the role at all, you could have gotten him for $500,000. Like,
oh wow, okay.
I'm not even kidding.
Yeah,
because he is a police officer now. No judging. Like he has a reality show about him being a police officer in, I really do want to say Louisiana. I could be wrong on the state, but it's Southern.
Yeah.
He still goes to it's either Aikido or Judo. He is still an absolute person in the martial arts world. Him in this film would have been freaking hysterical and way cheaper. And not only do I think they'd have made it for less, I think they'd have made more. Because Nicolas Cage is a little bit of an eye roll, whereas Steven Seagal, everyone my age would have been like, I am here for this. Jean-Paul just said, hold on, popping it up on screen. I love Steven Seagal movies. He would have done great. And I could have seen Jean-Claude Van Damme do a decent job too. I agree. I don't think that Jean-Claude Van Damme would have done The Silent as well, because he was so about he always had a lot of talking.
I see.
But I think Steven Seagal would have crushed this. John-Paul, I'm very interested if you can think of anyone else I'm forgetting that could have really. I was about to say, Nicolas Cage is one of those funny things. He is film royalty. Did you know that? Do you know what his real last name is? Nicolas Cage's name is not.
It isn't?
No.
Really?
Nicolas Cage's last name is Coppola. He's Francis Ford Coppola's nephew.
Oh.
His mom. So. Is it mom? So yeah, Francis Ford Coppola is brother to Talia Shire. Talia Shire, who is Adrian in the Rocky films. Adrian. Like Nicolas Cage, his real name is Nicholas Coppola. He changed his name to Nicolas Cage because he didn't want to get famous off of his uncle's name. And Jason Schwartzman, also of Rushmore, and if you're familiar with Jason Schwartzman, Talia Shire's kid. So he's also a Coppola. So this is Nicolas Cage is Leslie with the win, Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer would have also been amazingly interesting. And likewise, I think you could have done it for way less money. And I would have watched it with the exact same amount of just glee. I'd have been like, I'm here for this. Val Kilmer would, yeah. because he's an Academy Award winner, because he's Nicolas Cage, I think they spent too much on him. Again, I'm guessing. I haven't seen the balance sheet.
Oh, thinking of a better outcome.
I think that they were banking on him giving it a bigger thing. Obviously, COVID chopped that number in half, but that means it was supposed to make $1 million, not $5 million. I think they paid too much for someone who was never going to be a draw for this type of film. Dolph Lundgren would have been amazing. Dolph Lundgren, also of that same era, late 80s.
I see.
Universal Soldier, giant. Was he Rocky 2 or Rocky 3 was the bad guy? He was the Russian in Rocky 2 So Apollo Creed was the first one. I think he was the Russian boxer in Rocky. No, Rocky, whichever one isn't Mr. T, he's the other one too. Rocky 2. Thank you. Anyway, I'm belaboring my point. Budget of $5 million. I guarantee that 70% of that was Nicolas Cage, because this movie was a single location that wasn't an expensive location.
Yeah,
it was a single
abandoned
ramshackle thing. There was no expensive animatronics. These were really bad furry suits.
Yeah,
there was no CG. There was not even particularly a lot of it was such.
Except for the Ballora lookalike.
Yeah, and one thing where the woman gets chopped in half, but all of the effects in this were insanely simple. The blood, you never even see it, was just splattering across walls.
Yeah.
It was such 1970s, 1980s schlock film, which I'm saying is a positive.
Mm-hmm.
So when I look at that number $5 million, having worked in acquisitions, I can see the balance sheet. $3.5 million of that was Nicolas Cage, and I don't think that was money well spent. Love you, Nicolas Cage. But
and then another actor that I briefly mentioned before the film that I think would also make a good one. I don't think you know him, but Matt Dillon.
I know things. You don't know things. I know who Matt Dillon is, but he's not as good as Brendan Fraser, Leslie. Brendan Fraser. This was his role. He was robbed because he could have. Oh man, Rick O'Connell, Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm about it. Do you know who Brendan Fraser is?
He sounds familiar.
Okay, first off, you're grounded. The Mummy?
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
Rick O'Connell.
Okay,
the main character is Brendan Fraser.
I see. Okay, yeah.
Brendan Fraser would have absolutely crushed this. And you're right. He's on Doom Squad now. He has kind of there's some sad stuff kind of going. Is it Rocky 4? Who's Rocky 2? Oh, Rocky 2 is the rematch with Apollo Creed. It's Apollo, Mr. T is number 3, and he's Rocky 4. I think that's right.
Rocky about to make it
boxers.
Yeah.
And there's 7. Yeah. I think that Brendan Fraser might be the actual right answer because he's done action movies. He does have a solid fan base of people that take him very seriously, but he's done comedies. That's the thing. Nicolas Cage has never done a serious comedic role. Nicolas Cage kind of takes himself too seriously.
Yeah.
Oh man, Brendan Fraser would have been perfect. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. No, that would have been I'm now sad that this is Brendan Fraser. Forget Steven Seagal, although close second. Oh man, Brendan Fraser would have crushed it. Anyway, I'm going to say it for the third time. $3.5 million of that was Nicolas Cage, and that was not money well spent.
Okay. And one of the other questions that you kind of gave yourself is, would you think the movie would have turned out better if Nicolas Cage's character did talk? Not more than the one line that you said,
no,
but
I literally think the fact that he was silent was actually brilliant. I think it added a lot of dynamics to it, because what was he going to say? What was what character Dylan? Well, when I was in the SWAT team, shut up, man. Just kill another robot.
Sure.
What was he possibly? I need to get home to my wife and kids. No, there was nothing about this character that needed more than we got. Truly, the only thing that would have been acceptable to me
is at the end.
Is
one-liner.
I mean, I also see him talking at the beginning.
So John Paul, I'm going to throw this up there. He goes, I would have paid movie theater prices to see Dolph Lundgren in a big screen movie where he has no lines and just uses his facial expressions. I'm kind of there with you. That would have been amazing. You need to watch any Dolph Lundgren movie, any of them. He has an IQ of 160 and he's a biochemist. He's stupid smart, but he plays action hero villains.
I see.
But I'm with you. I would pay money to see Dolph Lundgren. Yes, but I think that trying to give this character a story that you gave a damn about would have completely ruined it. Like,
that is true because we don't know his backstory
and
whatsoever.
we don't care. We don't. The only thing you could have done was like, back when I was on the force. Shut up. Like, I don't care. Like,
Sure.
like I gotta get home. I got like anything. Like, I gotta get this bunny to my daughter. Like, that's the plot of Con Air, by the way. Anything you do to this, I think makes it. And who's he gonna talk to? The kids?
True.
Suddenly, if he no, having him silent was brilliant. I could have imagined. Like I said, I wish there was one, maybe two, like, comedic effect lines, like as he killed one. Have you seen the movie Shaun of the Dead? Not Shaun of the Dead, sorry. Hot Fuzz.
No, but I really want to.
We might watch that next week. Had there been some 1980s classic one-liners like the price is wrong, bitch. I mean, but no, I think giving him any kind of character development dialogue would have been would have ruined this movie. Other than I really would have been okay with a couple of like one-liners.
I see.
But
and then awards.
Yep.
It was released this year, so there's
44% of Metacritic is way too high. Like, way too high. 44% is what they gave Seabiscuit. Like, I mean,
What's Seabiscuit?
an Academy Award-winning film about a horse. Named Seabiscuit.
Oh, jeez.
50, 62, 44. This movie is like a 35. Like,
So Kirk, since you mentioned that, Rotten Tomatoes, the audience score, was like a 76.
that makes sense.
Metacritic audience score like a 79. So yeah,
I buy that. I buy, like, audience scores are always more accurate than critic scores because critics are just critical. And they almost never judge a film against its genre. They judge a film against films. So they go in and they want a film experience. Whereas the audience score of Hot Fuzz is judging it against Shaun of the Dead. So they are judging it within their chosen genre.
I see.
Whereas critics are judging it against the art of film. And that's bullshit. You can't judge Sharknado with the same lens you do Citizen Kane. It's not fair.
No.
So can I say that Citizen Kane and Sharknado are both a 90%? Hell yes, I can. Am I judging them to the same rubric? No.
True.
Neither were the filmmakers, which is why audience scores matter and critic scores are garbage 100% of the time. And yes, Hot Fuzz is my favorite Simon Pegg movie as well. John Paul again. Yeah.
So you said it should have been a 30, or just because
from a critic score, like if I was saying, like, even as B movies, this is a 30 or a 40. This was just so bad. But like, no, did I super enjoy it? I would have given it a 70 or 80. But these are two very different.
I mean, to be fair, I was reading some of the reviews.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was on Rotten Tomatoes or Metacritic. I want to say it was Rotten Tomatoes, where one of the critics was like Nicolas Cage didn't have to be in this movie.
He didn't.
But him fighting animatronics was like the best part, and that's what sold this movie.
I so disagree with that.
And he gave it a 70.
No,
so,
I mean, like, this movie, like, Nicolas Cage was an absolute gimmick that I don't think paid off. In a world where we have Nicolas Cage fighting terrorists, in a world where we have Nicolas Cage fighting convicts, in a world where we have all of the, there was no value added, no irony, no funny, no interest. Him doing another schlocky film was just like, man, did you need a paycheck that bad? Ferrari about to get repossessed there, Nick. But there are other people, had they done it, it wouldn't have. I guess that's it. There it is. I felt this film was a little bit mocking Nicolas Cage, and he wasn't in on the joke.
I see.
He might have been, but like when I heard like, oh, Nicolas Cage, I was like, and you watch it, when you watch the commercials of it, this movie is very much like, and Nicolas Cage fighting robots. You're like, ha ha. This movie was mocking Nicolas Cage, and he wasn't in on the joke. Whereas there's other actors that you could have gotten that they would have been absolutely in on it. Like, they're like, I am here for Brendan Fraser. He'd have been in on the joke. Steven Seagal would have been in on the joke. I did not get the impression at any point that Nicolas Cage was in on the fact that he was the joke in this movie. Again, love you, Nick. But yeah, that's my story, and I'm gonna
You stick it to it.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, I really like this movie.
I did too.
Yeah,
I really did. Yeah.
And yeah, I still stand by my point that still one of the best B-rated movies out there.
No, it is super fun. And like I said,
Yeah.
I'm being super critical of it because, again, 5 million was unnecessary. In a world where Napoleon Dynamite was 300,000 and Little Miss Sun, and you're like, yeah, but there's no stars in that. Little Miss Sunshine, the star-studded follow-up that was kind of the answer, was like under 2 million, and it had like Steve Carell and Alan Arkin.
Oh
like,
wow, okay,
it had good 5 million. There's nothing that will convince me that wasn't Nicolas Cage's. It was the
like asking price.
Well, no, it was the producer thinking he was worth it. He wasn't, and Nicolas Cage's agents required him, like, what are you talking about? Nicolas Cage is going to sell this movie. He didn't. I think they overspent on the wrong things. That having been said, I still really enjoyed the movie.
Yeah. Your thoughts?
Did you like the movie?
I liked it.
Are we gonna watch when Five Nights at Freddy's when it comes out?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then we gotta compare the two.
Back to back.
What would you change? If you could, if I gave you $5 million, well, I wouldn't need to. If I gave you way less, what would you have done differently?
Why the satanic ritual?
Isn't that how Five Nights at Freddy's is?
No, in the Five Nights at Freddy's, the William Afton kills the kids and they haunt the animatronics.
Oh, it's the kids that are haunting.
Uh-huh.
Interesting. No, I didn't have a problem with the satanic ritual, but I will agree that I also didn't feel that there was any value added to it. Like, it was...
I mean, it gave why the animatronics were moving.
Right,
which
but I think that could have been done with, like, a line of dialogue. They're like, yeah, and ever since he murdered all those children, this place is possessed. Done. Like, I get your point. It didn't bother me, but I can see that was a pseudo unnecessary. Yeah. Yeah.
Am I gonna get the same question?
What would you change?
Such a very good question. Probably Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
Even though
I really liked him in this, but I would not have cast him.
I was gonna say, even though I liked his role and how he played it, but yeah.
I would have not cast him, and I'd have given this person one or two, like, just punctuate, like maybe one per act. At the very beginning, he's like, I'll see you in the morning. He's like, yeah, you will. Like, I would have given him just tiny little, just because I think it would have been flavor text. I would have given them flavor text, not character development. I would have given him flavor text.
I like that flavor text.
What's that?
I like that flavor text.
Yeah, just some flavor. Just like
just the icing on top.
No, like at the end after he killed Ozzy, he could be like, playtime's over. Like, I mean, that's funny.
Yeah.
But that's it. Those are the things I would change.
I see. Makes sense.
That's our last slide, right?
It is.
I think I'm gonna make you watch another Nicolas Cage movie next week.
Okay.
But I haven't decided. Like, The Rock is good, so I'm gonna give you a choice.
Okay.
John Paul, I actually legit, and Leslie, I want your weigh in on this. Next week, we are either watching The Rock, where Nicolas Cage teams up with a retired James Bond to break in. I appreciate that. He either breaks into a prison, Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage, or Con Air, where Green Beret Nicolas Cage just spent 8 years in prison for defending his wife in a bar fight, and now he's on a plane home, and the prisoners hijack the plane, and he has to defend his children. He has to defend the plane so that he can get a bunny home to his daughter. Please put it involves lines such as, "Please put the bunny back in the box. Why couldn't you put the bunny back in the box?" The other movie has things like, have you ever listened to Rocket Man? I don't listen to gay ass shit. He's like, that's funny because it's you. You're the Rocket Man. These are the lines. These are the lines you have to choose from. Either Con Air, put the bunny back in the box, or Rocket Man of The Rock.
So what I will say is my money's on The Rock, even though I really like the put the bunny back in the box line too. That's just hilarious.
Ooh! Leslie wins. I take it back.
Okay.
We're doing adaptation.
I'm scared.
So the reason we're doing adaptation is A, because I have a whole backstory of why we're doing adaptation. The Rock and Con Air are both amazing.
Okay.
Rock and Con Air are both amazing, but they're both schlock films. Nicolas Cage in adaptation is actually amazing, and I'm not saying that ironically. He's actually good. It's also a Charlie Kaufman film, and if you're unfamiliar with Charlie Kaufman, that gives us a lot we can talk about on the show, because Charlie Kaufman's an actual genius whose roles and movies are really, really interesting. And adaptation is my favorite of Charlie Kaufman's films. So Leslie gets the win. We're going to watch adaptation next week in our continuation of Nicolas Cage and our introduction to you to Charlie Kaufman films, which you'll watch with us. I apologize. You? I don't apologize to.
That does not give me much hope.
For the record, I love this movie. I 100% non-ironically love this movie. It's incredible. And so thank you to Leslie for oh my gosh. And then we can watch Face Off, where Nick Cage and John Travolta play each other.
Oh no.
It's awful.
So bad. Oh no.
So yeah, no, and Leslie's right. It's any of these, Face Off or The Rock or Con Air, it's still him as like a schlocky action hero kind of guy.
Okay.
Whereas in adaptation, it's wildly different than this. He plays twins. He's in it twice. It's wildly different. So I think Leslie absolutely wins. We're gonna do adaptation next week. Schlocky is a great word. So okay. So awesome. Everyone join us for adaptation next week, because I'm excited about it. I haven't seen adaptation in years. It's so good. So good. You want to send us out? Sure.
Well, it won't be a Reels and Around episode without a nice little joke.
I'm sorry.
So one of my friends.
I already don't believe the story.
Oh no, it's like actually true. Like Tyler. He mentioned that I should grow out my beard.
Okay.
And you know how I was just like clean shaving at first.
Uh-huh.
But it's kind of growing on me.
And that is it.
That has been Reels and Around. Join us next week.
I'm more offended that I let my daughter exposed to that than to movies like Five Nights at Freddy's. Oh, Wicker Man's good too, John Paul. Damn it. We're just gonna be watching like Nicolas Cage movies for like 6 months. This show just became Nicolas Cage on Tuesdays. Wicker Man is so bad. Oh God. Yeah, that's happening. Anyway, so next week adaptation.
Yep.
And until then, I've been Kirk.
I've been Rownan.
That was Salem. And
this has been Reels and Around on the rectangular table.
We've got to find a better word for this.
I'm gonna scour the internet, seeing if there's like a table in like another language that starts with an R. It's got to be what we do.
Platform, no. or we just change it to a different alliterative phrase.
I see.
Where movies the day after Monday. I don't know. Whatever. Shut up. On the Mesa. Anyway. They're not tunes. Awesome. We will see you guys next week.